And we are back together again.
Yes,
look at this,
love
guys. Yeah. All right, now with Lovie Smith now being the guy, let's do this. Love or hate? What did you love or hate about this game? And I think the very first thing would have to be overtime and fourth down, right? That is it for everybody,
100%.
right?
The hey, let's play for a tie mentality. That's not something you can really wrap your head around and go get one for the Gipper.
Yeah, especially given the team that we're talking about, right? I mean, they have no expectations. Like, go out and make a statement your first game, not only to the rest of the NFL, but to your team. Trust your players. That's what really bothered me the most about that.
And talking to the guys in the locker room afterwards, Daniel and I were in there. It's like the younger guys were like, well, at least it's not an L. And the veteran guys were like, well, we're on Team Lovie. Yeah, we back our coach. But it felt like a loss to the veterans. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, look, it's 4 years ago in 2018, Frank Reich went for the win against the Texans.
Cost him.
Failed. They lost the game, but a lot of people, players included, said that was kind of the spur moment that led them to a really long win streak after that. There was something about, hey, this is what we're in this to win these games, not play for jockeying down the road for potentially a playoff situation. I don't know.
All right, so what else did we love or hate? Love the first half.
Yeah,
you know, the first half was really good for this team.
Well, I also love the defense, right? I mean, for the most part, the defense, aside from that fourth quarter, the defense, they forced turnovers. Jerry Hughes was a great addition. I mean, just his veteran savvy out there. You can tell he made some plays based off of that too. And I like the way they were getting after the ball. They were rallying to the ball against Jonathan Taylor. They were holding him to about, 3.5 yards per carry? That's not terrible against Jonathan Taylor.
I think the first half, I would say yes. I think in the second half, I'm going to go defense for what I hate. Because,
I'll do first.
We did this last year where we said, hey, the defense was good for the first 2.5 quarters, but then they were on the field too long, or they wore down. You can't really accept that. This defense is a lightweight defense. Very athletic, very fast, and they come up and make a lot of big plays. But against teams like the Colts, you got to do it for 4 quarters. So I don't want to continually be making excuses for these guys wearing down in the third and fourth quarters.
Okay, what I loved, overall picture, I started the day in a dentist chair, okay? I had an emergency dental work this morning. Thank you, Doc Ellis and Maria, your assistant. Big picture, more positives than negatives coming away from this game, right? I love the effort. But you know what I hated? Do I always complain about offensive play calling?
Yeah.
When you get a flea flicker and then the next 2 plays are off tackle with Rex Burkhead, and then it's 3rd and 1 late, and it's off tackle with Rex Burkhead. Nothing against Rex. Great guy, great veteran presence, but where is your top running back? So I'm going to say offensive play calling was very offensive.
I know a lot of people were upset about the fact that Dameon Pierce wasn't in there a lot. That was a chatter online and all that. Lovie clarified it a little bit because it was a pass protection issue, but Seth, you could probably speak to that a little bit more with a rookie being in there in that situation.
Yeah, and I think Dameon Pierce had a mental error early in the game. I think he had a bad read. He had to stumble in the backfield. I think Dameon Pierce was a little bit amped up. So you can understand wanting to play with a veteran player there. But I don't know if that veteran player needs to be Rex Burkhead. Okay, Lovie played Rex Burkhead. Would he have preferred to have somebody other than Rex Burkhead as the guy that gets all those targets? I think so. So that's a composition of the team fault. That goes to, okay, how are Cassari and Lovie Smith feeling about the composition of this team right now?
Obviously, so much talk about these rookies heading into the season. How do we think they did as a whole group?
Look, I think that Derek Stingley did what you hope he's going to do. He saved a touchdown in the end zone, came up with a big play. I think he's adjusting to playing zone coverage better than he had been early in camp. So Derek Stingley, so far so good. Jalen Petrie, I prefer that he not, try to take the brain out of the guys he's hitting. Justin Reed had been really good at just delivering legal blows. Jalen Petrie, a little bit excited his first game of his rookie season, and he'll get that under control.
Yeah, I really like the intensity of the rookies. I love the way they're punching balls out of there and stuff. But Kenyon Green, man, I love his potential, but Kenyon still needs some work. Dameon Pierce, we've already talked about him, needs work. But overall, these guys are such an infusion of intensity to this team and enthusiasm. That's what you need for your rookie class.
Well, yeah, and I think the fan base got to realize that you're going to have moments with these rookies, especially at the positions that they're at, that sometimes they're going to be on an island, right? Derek Stingley had some moments, again, playing zone coverage that Seth was saying, and then but when he was with the receiver, you could tell the talent is there. That's why the Texans drafted him so high. I thought overall first game was pretty good.
Now, Drive of the Game, sponsored by Ford.
And the drive of the game, one which seemed to be some insurance. Third quarter, 5 plays, 43 yards. It was capped off by Mills to Howard for the 22-yard score. Texans were up 20-3, but the Texans and Lovey ultimately needed more. When we look now around the NFL, give me a surprise in week 1 which really jumped off the page for you. I thought Joe Burrow's first half against the Steelers with all those interceptions really surprised me. What do you guys have, Seth?
Oh, but Joe Burrow last year lived off of the deep ball, especially when they really started turning it loose. So that was a surprise too, but also something to watch as they continue to try to go deep and take risks with the ball. I think on the opposite side of the coin, the Green Bay Packers losing wasn't a huge surprise. They were not favored in that game, but only scoring 7 points. And I know there was a dropped pass in the end zone, but when you trade away Devontae Adams and everybody acts like, no big deal. Like, that's a big deal. He's Devontae Adams. So that is something to monitor. Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that is all happy-go-lucky if things aren't going well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, look, I was surprised the Bears won, but the Titans missed that field goal. I was shocked the Giants won, but,
That's all right. Pick it up.
Okay. Hey, I was surprised the Giants won, but the Titans missed that field goal. I was shocked the Bears won. But what really got me, you mentioned it, Packers-Vikings. Vikings dominate that game. Okay, let's go Houston-based. Wade Phillips' son, Wes. Offensive coordinator. Keenan McCardell, your buddy, wide receiver coach. Gerard Johnson out of Humble High School in Texas A&M. He's assistant quarterback coach. I was happy for those guys, and man, that new staff made a huge difference. Yeah. Maybe this is the season the Vikings win that division.
For me, we go out west. The Chargers were good last year, but I think that's a team to watch for. And I know Keenan Allen got hurt today. He had to leave the game. But Justin Herbert threw 3 touchdowns. I think his progression is going to get much better. I'm upset that I couldn't pick him up in my fantasy league. I was 1 pick away. I was going to get Justin Herbert, but I think that's a really talented team on both sides of the ball that can really do some damage in the AFC. I know they got the Chiefs to contend with, but I think they're going to make some noise too.
And of course, I think we all were surprised that we had ties in the NFL today. So Denver, week 2, the Broncos and Texans. Denver is starting off Monday against Seattle. What are we looking for from the Broncos in that game?
I think it's all about Russell Wilson. We don't have to turn this into rocket science. Russell Wilson, there were questions about just how good he was anymore. And I think if you look back to the mesh between him and Pete Carroll and everything that went on in Seattle, there were some things that were limiting Russell Wilson. Just how much was it and how much can he thrive in Denver, especially in that altitude? We'll find out. We won't find out about the altitude because this team is in Seattle. But this is something that the Texans, where the pass rush today, outside of Jerry Hughes, wasn't as good as I had hoped it would be. They got to start looking the way that I thought they would in my mind. I thought they've got the potential to get after quarterbacks. You got to get after Russell Wilson.
On Monday night, I'm wondering who will get booed first, Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson, because those fans are divided. Some of them don't like Pete Carroll because Russell Wilson wanted to get out. Some of them don't like Russell Wilson because, anyway, I'm just curious to see who gets booed first. And my concern about next week in Denver is this team, the Texans, goes to Denver. That's why these veteran players in there in the locker room are like, oh, man, it really felt like a loss. Because this looks like a loss coming up next week against the Broncos.
For me, any team that the Texans will play, I will be looking at their defense because I want to see how that defense presents itself before they play the Texans because we saw some flashes today from the Texans offense. The fact that they mixed in O.J. Howard, I like that. Brandon Cooks was getting some touches. The running game is still not very good. So let's see what Denver has to offer on a Monday night. It'll be a short turnaround for them, but they'll be at home for their home opener. But that's what I'm going to be looking for.
It is very much like someone took a plug to that Texans offense and simply unplugged it. And
Yeah.
so that is the story from here. Seth Payne, as always, thanks for joining us in studio, and we'll listen to you tomorrow on Sports Radio 6.
Yes, you will. And so will you.